Gloucester Warwickshire Steam Railway is a heritage railway running through the heart of the Cotswolds. It operates between Cheltenham Racecourse and Broadway, and was originally part of the Great Western Railway's link between Birmingham and Cheltenham via Stratford upon Avon. The route itself today gives you outstanding views of the rolling hills of the Cotswolds, and in the far distance the Melbourne Hills. And it is a volunteer operated railway, and a key part of our approach has been to improve health and safety over the last year.
The GWSR had a very traditional approach to safety and risk management using paper-based systems performed. Whilst this has served the railway well for many years, the introduction of the Office of Rail and Road RM3 Risk Management Maturity Model for heritage railways provided the opportunity to create how these processes are managed and how the RM3 model could be integrated into the approach. RM3 is relevant to the minor and heritage railway sector and is a useful tool to help both the Office of Rail and Road and the railways themselves consider safety management system capability, identify areas for development, and provide a benchmark for year-on-year comparisons. RM3 sets out criteria for key elements of a health and safety risk management system, and its criteria identifies the steps to evaluate a company's progress through 5 levels of maturity from ad hoc to excellent. The initial topic set for heritage railways is as follows: leadership, board governance, written safety management system, record keeping, document control and knowledge management, competence management systems, risk assessment and management, management of assets, audit, and incident investigation. Using the above topic set, a small project team of competent volunteers with safety, asset management, risk management, change management and IT skills were put together to review and work through a range of options to improve safety and risk management, incorporating the requirements of RM3 where possible. It was considered that the best way to implement the project requirements was to move towards an integrated digital system that was fully mobile enabled and that would operate both on personal computers or mobile technology such as smartphones. While many larger companies may have such a system in place, for a small heritage railway, this is huge in terms of technology and culture. The railway had already implemented Office 365 and SharePoint and had been instrumental in the initial development of an IT-based operational management system, HOPS, a number of years ago. The design of the approach was a one-stop shop for all safety and risk information system, and also allow volunteers to have other information available to them through the approach. The PLC board signed off the project, and we worked with change management expertise in order to bring the whole approach to life on the railway. The next part of the video will take you through the key aspects of the approach that we've implemented, including the initial log on to the IT portal, the risk management systems, control of substances hazardous to health, and also management of change, putting an incident in, or actually also recording a defect.
First of all, we'll show you the Signon application that we have developed. This is used for any volunteer who comes to the railway to work, and can also track people who are working off-site. It's a very simple system to use, where you need to type in your last name and your work permit number. As long as these two things match correctly, you will be given some options to select which department that you're working in. These are the 4 departments that I get to work in on a regular basis, so I need to pick which one I'm working in today. I'm Process Assurance Manager, and it asks me some information about whether I'm a trainee, whether I'm lone working, and that's very important, working off the property. Lone working is important because this system will tell us who is where and send alerts if people don't log into the system on a regular basis. You can set that time interval up to be whatever you want, and currently we've got it set at an hour. So if anyone is out and about lone working, they have to sign into the system every hour, otherwise we know to come and find them. So today, I'm working as Process Assurance Manager, and I'll just click that link. If there were operations running today, on this page, it would tell me what was happening, and I get all the special information that I need to know in my role for this particular day. And also, because we're in the COVID environment at the moment, we have some control measures in place that people read and click to say that they confirm that these conditions are in place. Once that is done, you can sign on. The first page you see when you log into the volunteer portal covers a lot of information about various activities around the railway. You'll see down the left-hand side of the page, announcements, reference articles, some news that we send out on a timely basis to our volunteers. And if today was a running day, you'd see the timetables and who was doing what on a particular services. You can also see your own personal status, and you can see that at the moment I'm signed on and I'm in the Process Assurance department because that's my job. I'm the Process Assurance Manager. So there's a lot of very useful information down the left-hand side of the screen. And then at the bottom, we go into a lot more detail. You can look at the safety department bulletins. You can see some of the reference articles that we've been posting out. And also a new system we're developing for like little snippets of news that we're calling shout-outs. So these are the sort of more generic things that anyone who's on the railway might be interested in looking at on a particular day. But today we're going to focus on the new apps that we've developed, and most of these are linked. On the right-hand side of the page, you'll see these interactive links. At the top are the various websites that are run by the Gloucestershire Warwickshire Railway, the one for the PLC and the one for the Volunteers Trust. You'll also see our Signon application. This was the first application we developed, which tracks who is doing what around the railway at any particular time. You'll see the HOPS system. HOPS is used for tracking everything to do with our operations and our operational competency and training and record keeping. And then the 6 links at the bottom, these are all brand new, and these are the things that we'd like to tell you about that we've been developing during the last 12 months of lockdown. So we now have a system for risk assessments. We have a system for COSH assessments, the control of substances hazardous to health. We've developed a change management system. We're partway through developing our Office 365 system to be a workflow management system or a document management system, and that's very useful for keeping any records around the railway. We've developed a system to record incidents and accidents, and this replaces the old paper accident books that we used to have. And finally, a quick system where anyone can report a defect or a hazard that they might spot when they're out and about on the railway. The next application that we'd like to tell you about today is one we've developed for managing risk assessments. In the past, many people have used many different paper-based systems or spreadsheets or Word documents to manage risk assessments around the railway. We have produced an application that keeps all of these separate assessments in one central database. When you log on, any volunteer can see in the system at the moment lots and lots and lots of different risk assessments that have been produced, many of them recently relating to our COVID-19 controls. Over time, we have started to put the existing risk assessments from the paper-based systems into this system, and that's something we're working on heavily at the moment. You can search on any word contained within a risk assessment title. More likely, people will like to pop in and search for risk assessments by their department. This is an easy thing to do. You just select your department and click the update button. These then show, in this instance, I've selected Permanent Way. So these are the various risk assessments that are in the system for the Permanent Way team's activities. So now I'm looking at all of the risk assessments in the permanent way department. I can pick which one that I'm interested in, click download, and it'll develop a PDF for me that I can view. This PDF can be read on the screen. It's color coded depending on the risk scores for the various hazards and activities that are being undertaken. Or you can print this out and take it to the worksite with you. There's also an option to print a PDF with boxes for signatures on it. So people could read the risk assessment, and if they're happy that they understand it, sign at the bottom and date it to say that they're happy with what's contained within it. Next, we'll talk about our cost assessment system, the control of substances hazardous to health. Under law, we need to make the information from the manufacturers about safety precautions available to anyone who's using these materials. So we've developed a system that we can store all of the cost materials around the railway in simply, and it can be accessible from a PC or a phone or any other device. Here we can see all the different cost materials that we've so far loaded into the system, probably about 100 of them so far. These are everything from oils, greases, paints, solvents, lots and lots of different materials that we use around the railway. The look and feel of the system is exactly the same as the risk assessments. So let's have a look at one of these cost assessments now. Seeing as we're still in the COVID period, let's look at the disinfectant that we've been using. And here it is. This is the disinfectant material that we're currently using across the railway. And you can see the various information contained here that has been pre-entered. Who has made this assessment and when's it up for review, what the product is, who manufactures it, emergency contact details, the possible types of exposure, how the liquid is stored, the exposure limits, if you know them, that's not always listed on the data sheets. The various phrases that are applicable, hazards and precautions that need to be taken, PPE that you would wear when using this particular liquid, control measures that are in place, and then a little risk assessment at the bottom of the likelihood multiplied by the severity to give an overall risk score. It's quite simple, it's quite neat, and it's something that takes probably about 5 to 10 minutes for each substance to set up. A little bit of work when you start using the system, but once the information's in there, then it's readily accessible. The next system that we'd like to tell you about is change management, or management of change. This is very important. The ORR expect railways, heritage railways in particular, to have a system in place where they're managing any changes. That could be technical changes, it could be organisational changes, process changes, safety changes. So we've developed a system to be able to manage that. And once again, it's got the same look and feel as all of the other applications that we've developed. Here you can see on the front screen, 2 management of change assessments that we're working on. These are in the draft stage. One is a small project to build a new fuel storage facility. And another one is a bigger project where we're expanding our welfare facilities and introducing a new building as a wash and change facility, training, technical rooms, and extension of a workshop. So these are the sort of things that need to be assessed. People need to do these things in advance of carrying out these projects to see if the introduction of the new facility might cause any problems. So very important to use that for new projects. Further down, you'll see some management and change assessments that have been approved, and that's why they're green. And the 3 that you can see on the screen are all technical assessments that we've carried out on, as it happens, diesel locomotives, where we're doing something slightly different to how they were designed to be built in, most of them being built in the 1960s, and where we're doing things slightly differently. So 2 of them are, the first one is an upgrade, the second one is running with a known fault, and the third one is a repair to one of those particular pieces of equipment. I'll now launch the PDF, and you can see what the system looks like. So we're going into the system now. Here we can see some information about the change, the current situation, the desired situation, and how we intend to make that change, the people who are involved, any stakeholders, any target dates, and a selection of mini risk assessments where we score the impact that this change might have on our operations, or it could be for safety, or it could be for processes, or whatever else you think might be impacted. There's a facility to link to risk assessment. There's a facility to add comments from technical experts and competent people. There's a facility to upload diagrams or photographs or anything else that you might need to explain the change that you're making and to justify it. Like all of our systems, there's the ability to generate a PDF, and this can be stored elsewhere outside of the system or taken to the job or distributed via email, whatever you want to do really. So here's the PDF. It's got the same look and feel about it as all of the other systems, explaining the change, what it is, the current situation, desired situation, why we're doing it, how we're going to do it, who's involved, the risk scores, any risk assessments, competent comments from technical experts, reference documents, etc., etc. All the same look and feel for all of our different systems. Next, we're going to talk about reporting incidents or accidents. If you click this link, it takes you into another familiar looking system. Very, very simple questions to allow any volunteer or member of staff to enter an incident quickly into the system by answering a number of questions. The first one being, did anyone get hurt or not? Were the emergency services called? Was there a train involved? And then some detail. When did it occur? What time did it happen? Where did the accident happen? And then drill down a little bit more into the detail of that particular incident. Click next. Who's reporting the incident? Well, it knows that it's me. What is my role? Well, today I'm Process Assurance Manager. Who got injured? Mr. AN Other. What's their phone number? Some details about date of birth and so on. All things that you need to capture in the old accident book. And who was this person? Were they the public, an employee, a volunteer, a contractor? What happened? What was the weather like? Because that's often important if there's an accident. Was the person taken to hospital? Were there any witnesses? Who were they? Did anyone give any first aid? What time did we call the emergency services? Okay. There we go. So that took me a couple of minutes just to enter all the basic details about the incident that occurred. Finally, we'd like to show you our defect and hazard reporting system. This can be used for absolutely anything you like to report, anything to do with anything that's broken, anything that needs fixing, any potential hazards that you might encounter around the railway. Again, it's a very simple front end to the system, asking you a couple of very simple questions. So, where are you? Drill that down to something a little bit more specific. What does the fault relate to? Track, signals, trains, buildings, fencing. I'll say buildings in this case. Is it an immediate threat to safety? If it was, then it'd start sending emails to the relevant people. In this case, it's not. And then a box to describe what this fault or hazard is. Who's reporting it? Defaults to my name. What's my telephone number? And if I wanted to, I could upload a photo. I haven't got one on this occasion. And there you go. Straight into the system, nice and simple. All of the things that we've shown you today, the views that we have used are those that any volunteer can see so that they can get into any part of the system. Obviously, there needs to be some administration behind the scenes, and this particular screen shows you that. So you can set up super users who might be your heads of department or project leaders or your board members, and they can have access to see all the data from these different systems. So who are the people that are in the system? And that would log you on. What are the various departments that we have around the site? The calendar of what's happening, and then the detail behind some of these incidents that we're showing you. So lots of things requiring password access, as you can see, and I'll put mine in now. This is showing a lot of information about what's happening. So today at the railway, which operational staff are here and what roles are they performing? Which non-operational staff are here and the roles that they're performing? The time they booked in, and if we have any visitors. You can also click on the link to see who's been in today and has already signed off. If we look at the incident system, here we can see the back end of the system, as we like to call it, and the various different incidents that have already been entered. And you'll see the one that I used just some moments ago with you regarding the footbridge and someone tripping and falling. But all of the incidents that have been reported in the system are all here. Likewise, all the defects that have been reported, and here's the one that I use as an example, they're in the system. If you want to look at them in any more detail, then you can just by clicking on the view button. And it's at this level where people would manage that entry. So if you were investigating the incident or you're the person responsible for fixing a particular fault, these are the various things that you can do to change the status, answer questions, put some notes in, assign people action, upload pictures, upload supporting documentation, and so on. So there's a lot of functionality in the back end, but as you can see, it's still got that same look and feel about it.